and many of them were poor people, not many changes of clothes and so on. And there are a few of them who recounted how they would work in the same clothes up to 10 and put the clothes to dry, put them all wet the next morning, because sooner or later they would be in that condition anyhow, and they felt that it would prevent them from catching colds. But the work was hard, and to save money, the Israel Canal Commission often did things that you would think would not have been done. Like, for instance, laborers would have to work 2 or 3, sometimes more extra hours. Because after working your 10 hours, before you get overtime pay. And because the work was so strenuous and the hours so long, and the conditions on the isthmus were not so good in terms of the diseases that were prevalent, many laborers got ill. And unfortunately, the Israel Canal Commission did not keep statistics of illness and death among West Indians and the other persons who were in the laborers, like Spanish and so on, in the way they did for Americans.
A certain disparity was created during work on the canal between those who were paid in silver and those who were paid in gold. Hence, the West Indians of Panama, as they were called by the Spanish-speaking people, became known as the Silver Men.
In the 1880s, when the French started to build the canal, they paid most of the workers in silver. Along come the Americans, but they pay Americans in gold, and they pay laborers and others in silver. But what the Americans wanted to do really was to set up a system of segregation similar to what was in place in the southern U.S. So they used the gold-silver divide to do it. And so Americans were paid in gold, and at first Black Americans, because there were a few hundred of those, they weren't encouraged to come, but some of them were paid in gold as well. But this caused difficulties for the Americans, because really they wanted to, as I said, they wanted to use gold and silver to set up a system of racial segregation. So Black Americans were discouraged from coming to work on the project, and I think it's about 1907 or 1909, all the Black Americans were paid in silver. And they protested, they were forever protesting, because they said they were Americans and there should be no discrimination between the two. But what the Americans did then, they set up a system of gold pay cars, gold and silver pay cars, gold and silver housing, fountains, the whole works, gold and silver. But then they decided to employ Europeans, especially Spanish, at a time when they thought that the blacks were not working as well as they should. And that was a dilemma for them, because here are people doing the same work. You have a European guy, a white European guy, and a black guy working a few yards away and doing the same thing. And there's black and white, but because they're laborers, you have to pay them in silver. So what they did then was they paid the Europeans more than the blacks, but in silver. Almost double what the West Indians were getting.
We welcome your feedback on our programs. You may email your comments to bgisfeedback@barbados.gov.bb. You may also view our website at www.gisbarbados.gov.bb.